Welcome back to another episode of Those Two Dudes. It's that dude, Josh.
That's that dude, Ruben.
Man, we're here, baby. Week 1. We're here, finally. God, it feels like forever. We're here, week 1. We just had week 0, some awesome games. Man, it is so much fun watching a college football game with fans in the stands. Dude, I know you were all over it last Saturday. How was it?
Yeah, it was good. I mean, fans in the stands. I don't know about UCLA. It looked like they were still on full COVID protocol over there. I don't know. Nah, but they look good, honestly, though. UCLA looked pretty good. They kind of, I guess they surprised me the most out of all the teams playing that weekend. Poor Nebraska doesn't look like they've got things turned around.
No,
hey, I know our what was our sidelines dude that we did the Big Ten video with? I know he's excited about that Illinois game. So
yeah, and actually I was going to reference that episode because when we did the Big Ten preview, we talked about coaches on the hot seat. Scott Frost was on the top of that list, and his seat just get hotter.
I seen a meme with him like I think it said he'll do fine, and it had him in a fully dressed McDonald's uniform. Like, man.
Yeah.
It's not looking good for him there. I mean, I think he'll bounce if he does lose his job there, I think he'll get a solid job like he had in the American or something like that. So I mean, I think he'll bounce back, but as far as Nebraska goes, it's not looking good over there, man.
No.
Like, you can't lose to Illinois with the first-year head coach. Illinois.
But on the flip side, though, Josh, you got to give.
If it wasn't a first-year head coach, it's like, dang. But
you got to give credit though, because it's not just any first-year head coach. It's
no. I mean, he's had success.
He's had success in the Big Ten.
Yeah. He didn't do so well in the SEC, but
that's a different story.
Brett Bielema, that was a solid win for him in his first game with Illinois. So congrats to him.
Yeah, for sure.
To UCLA as well. They look good. We'll really know more about UCLA, I think, probably this week when they host LSU. That's a big game for them.
That is a big game. Yeah.
But yeah, week 0 was nice. It was a nice little, a teaser, little taste of what's to come. And now we're here to week 1. We have a full slate. Actually, we're shooting this video on Thursday. So starting tonight, we got, I think, 15, 16 games tonight. We have a few games tomorrow. And then we have a full slate of games on Saturday. So college football is back. Fans are back. It's exciting.
Go.
We got one more A5 or Power 5, whatever y'all want to call these conferences. We got one more conference to do today. So we're going to go ahead and knock that out. You see it right behind Ruben.
Let's go. It's right behind me. If you're watching on YouTube, it's the ACC. You can see the background. We're going to break down the ACC just like Josh said. Josh, let's go right into it, man. Let's talk about the Atlantic Division. I mean, look, I don't really know how much more we have to talk about this. Clemson is by far the best team in this division. But tell me, man, is Clemson a runaway or is anybody challenging them?
No, not at all. Honestly, I mean, of all the teams, the Blue Bloods that compete for a playoff spot year in and year out, I think Clemson always has the easiest path. Save maybe next year because they had to go through Notre Dame as well. But to me, the ACC is – there's some good teams in the ACC, but top to bottom, I don't think it's the greatest A5 conference. There's solid teams. There's good teams. There's Clemson, obviously a great team. You got North Carolina, who's coming up, top 10-ish type team, and you got what, Wake Forest, North Carolina State. Pittsburgh's usually a good defensive team. If they could get their offense going, they could be a really solid team. But they seem to struggle as far as their offense goes year in and year out. So if they could get that going, they'll be good. But top to bottom, I think the Big 12 is better. I think the SEC is better.
I agree.
Big 10 is better. The Pac-12,
The only reason ACC is above the Pac-12 is because of Clemson.
Because of Clemson, yeah, and maybe North Carolina now too. They're right there. So
yeah.
Perhaps them as well. So I'll give the edge to ACC over the Pac-12. But with Clemson, especially in their division too, their division is not very tough. I struggled to decide who I would go with number 2. But yeah, Clemson's the sure hand favorite in the Atlantic Division. They got 10 starters on defense back from a defense that had the 15th overall ranking in the nation last year. They're loaded. Obviously, look, they get some of the best recruiting classes. They have depth. at pretty much every position, and the defense is bringing everybody back. So, I mean, if the offense could even do
half the
close
job
to what they did with the new quarterback, sorry if I butcher his name, DJ Ugalele. I hope I said that right.
Probably not.
But he did well. He did well as in a backup role last year. Threw 5 touchdowns, no picks, 914 yards. So he looks to be the part. He does look solid. And if he is, we'll find out. He needs to be a starter for us to really know what he's all about. But if he is good as he seems to be, they're going to be competing for a playoff spot again. 1, they're a stacked team. 2, they're not in a very good division, in my opinion, as far as the A5 conferences go. So I think they'll be right back there as one of the teams competing for one of those top 4 spots. And I definitely think they'll run away with the division. I did pick a number 2 because that's what we do on our previews. And I went with none other than, I know most people have NC State as that second team. They did pretty solid last year, but I went a different route. I went with Wake Forest.
Okay. Why'd you go there?
Sam Hartman coming back. I believe he's at least a partial starter. This would be his 3rd year, at least as a partial starter. I know he split some time a couple years ago with I forgot the quarterback's name, but he ended up transferring to Georgia after I think 2 years ago. So, but he played that year. He played last year. And he's coming back this year as, I guess, like a 3rd-year sophomore or something. I don't know. They have him labeled as a sophomore still, but I know he's been there for a while. And last year he did 13 touchdowns, 5 picks. He's a solid quarterback. They have 11 starters coming back on offense, so they're solid there. They were the 28th overall offense in the nation, 19 in scoring. So, and with everyone coming back, you don't see, like, again, I said that in one of our other videos, usually with the COVID rules of people not losing their eligibility, not losing a year of eligibility because of COVID last year, a lot of the non-A5 teams brought like everybody back. It's not as common with the A5 teams, but some teams did it. Wake Forest is one, especially on the offensive side with everybody coming back. They also have 8 defensive players coming back from a unit that didn't do great. That's where they need to step up. Like, it seems like a lot of these ACC teams are like good in one area, but not good in another.
Yeah.
So like Pittsburgh, they're good on defense. They're not really that good on offense. So these teams, they need to get both sides of the ball good if they want to compete with the likes of Clemson and North Carolina. But they do got, like I said, they got a lot of people coming back. Their offense did really good last year. The quarterback with a lot of experience. So I'm rolling with them as my second team. As far as the sleeper goes, I took Florida State. I know Florida State struggles, especially on defense. They've had O-line issues for the last few years. They've gone through different coaches. I'm going with them as a sleeper, none other than Mckenzie Milton. I think if he's healthy, if they could just give him some protection on the
That's offense. A big if he's healthy.
It is a big if. But if they could just give him some protection, I think he's a special college quarterback. I don't know if he's an NFL type quarterback, but if he's healthy and they give him some protection, he's a special college quarterback, and I think he'll have them at least competing in a lot of ball games. So that's my sleeper.
Yeah, and also just a quick backstory on him for those that don't know. He's a transfer from UCF. That he had a killer season at UCF, and I think it was one of the last games of their season where he tore his ACL or something like that.
Yeah, he had 2 years, so they went undefeated. They beat Auburn. They went undefeated. They beat Auburn in a New Year's Six
Peach Bowl. Yeah.
And the next year after that, they were undefeated again, going into the last regular season game of the year against the rival South Florida. He takes off running, and the DB hits him right in the kneecap and basically just blows his leg out.
Yeah.
But he was undefeated for basically 2 straight years as a quarterback at UCF. UCF goes on to another New Year's Six game and loses that game. But again, they didn't have Mckenzie Milton. But Mckenzie Milton was basically undefeated for 2 straight years. So
yeah,
who can ball?
He can, special dude.
Tell when a quarterback has it, when a quarterback has that it factor. Mckenzie Milton has that it factor. So if he's healthy and they could give him some time, I'll take them as my sleeper. What do you got?
Cool. I agree with you, man. He's a special dude. I don't agree with you that Florida State is a dark horse, but look, it's Clemson. Obviously, it's Clemson. If there's any year that Clemson is going to go down or going to be challenged significantly in this division, it's this year, right? Because they lose their superstar 1-2 punch and Trevor Lawrence and Travis Etienne, but they're still Clemson. They are still reloading. They have a backup quarterback, which is now their starter in DJ. I'll let you mispronounce it because I don't want to, but he's going to fill those shoes, and he could potentially be the top draft pick in the 2023 NFL draft. So, I mean, if he lives up to the hype, which he pretty much has because he played a lot of last season, he's really good. He's really good. Like you said, if they even come back in a shell of what they were last year, they'll be fine offensively. They have a ton of a trio of stud wide receivers coming back, and they'll be even better on the offensive end if Justin Ross returns healthy, because I know he was injured, but that dude is a monster wide receiver. He's a stud. I think he's a top 10 prospect as well. On the scheduling side, I think it does help. The only tough game that I see for them is the opener this weekend against Georgia. We'll get to that a little later, but that's aside of that. They got games at Louisville and at NC State, but they should be fine. They're fine. And look, like you said a while ago, this isn't a tough division. This isn't tough. I think, Clemson runs away with it. My second team, I have NC State. For me, it was a toss-up between NC State and Boston College, but I got NC State rolling.
I'm glad you went with NC State over Boston College. I'm not a huge fan of that team. My Bobcats should have beat them last year, but that's another story. I'll leave that alone.
But yeah, it doesn't. I mean, at the end of the day, if we have a number two, or there's no, you can't have a dark horse in a division that Clemson is in. You just can't. So I think for that reason, it's just Clemson, and they run away with the Atlantic. And then in terms of Florida State, they're just a mess. They're a mess, and I don't see them being a dark horse or challenging anybody. I think they're just trying to stay above Syracuse at the bottom. I don't see them doing much. Let's move over to the coastal side of things now. Obviously, it's a little bit trickier. It's
definitely
a little bit harder.
Especially at the top, there's at least a 2-horse race up here. Much more interesting than the Atlantic Division. This one was hard. Obviously, those two teams are North Carolina and Miami, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Both have a lot coming back. Both did well last year. North Carolina, to me, they seem to be maybe like a step ahead of Miami. I also, so I went with North Carolina 1. I went with Miami 2. One of the big reasons is I trust Mac Brown more than I trust Manny Diaz.
Manny Diaz used to coach under Mac Brown.
Yeah, right, at UT. Yes.
Yeah.
But look, I like both quarterbacks, but I think I might like Sam Howell a little bit more.
Sam Howell's a top 10 NFL prospect.
Right.
If not number one.
But like as far as quarterbacks go, like you could be a great college quarterback.
No, I get what you're saying. Yeah.
But even at the college level, I think I like Sam Howell a little bit more. So North Carolina has 8 starters coming back on offense, including their entire offensive line, which is huge, including Sam Howell, who you mentioned is one of the top NFL prospects at QB. So they got a lot of stuff coming back from a unit that was number 5 in the nation last year, number 5. Defense-wise, they got same 8 starters coming back from a unit that was, they're in the middle of the pack. They weren't great on defense. If they want to compete against Clemson for actually winning the ACC, which they may have an outside chance if there was a year to do it, it might be this year. But they're going to have to be better on defense. They were 58 in the nation, which isn't terrible. If you're 5 on offense and 58 in defense, you're going to be, definitely a top 20 team. Fringe top 15-10, but if they want to take it to that next level, the defense has got to be a little bit better. But I still like them overall. Miami similar. A lot coming back on offense, 11 starters. That's what made it tough. So they have obviously De'Aaron King, which has been playing college football for seems half my life already. So
he's been there for a minute.
And then they also have 4 offensive linemen coming back. 4. No, they got 5 offensive linemen coming back from a unit that was 26th in scoring last year. So they got a very solid offense, but not as good as North Carolina as far as the numbers go. The defense is pretty much on par with North Carolina, both middle of the pack type defenses, solid offenses. I do think Miami, with another year under De'Aaron King, will probably take another step on offense, especially with all 11 starters coming back. So I think they'll take another step there and probably be a top 20 offense this year. But I'm gonna lean North Carolina, but I wouldn't be surprised if Miami came out on top in that division. I did not actually have a sleeper. I think those are the 2 big dogs in that division, and I think it'll be a tight race. Another thing is, I believe that game between Miami and North Carolina is at North Carolina, so
it is.
That gives them a little edge too. So
yes, and that's a great segue, because that's what I'm getting into, and that's why I have North Carolina over Miami, because every time these close division games, they're neck and neck, I always look at where's the head-to-head matchup, and that's kind of who I lean towards. I got North Carolina. They have an easier schedule. Again, they have that one tough game they got at Notre Dame this year. So, I think Notre Dame in itself, they're particularly overrated year after year. I don't care that they go 10-2 or 11-1. They're still overrated. That's just my opinion. And I think the proof of what they do in the playoffs every single year proves that. I think North Carolina wins it. Sam Howell is the real deal. He's a potential, like we talked about, top 10 NFL prospect, probably top 5. He did lose his top 2 wide receivers to the draft, but all 5 starters are back on the O-line, like you mentioned. One thing they are going to have to overcome, though, is they lost their 2 top running backs to the draft as well. And those weren't just any running backs. Those were some stud running backs that he had. So we'll see how that goes. Miami, they can be good, but Miami, they're so random sometimes, lately.
Yeah, that's true. But I think they might be getting a little bit more consistent. But they're one of those teams that they'll look good one week and then
yeah, exactly. And I think if De'Aaron King can take that next step, Miami will definitely be there. And it wouldn't surprise me if they took the division. But look, De'Aaron King is coming off of an injury himself. So the big question for him is, can he stay healthy?
And we might be able to we might know a little bit more after this week with Miami as well.
Dude, Miami plays Alabama week 1.
If there's ever a time to catch, look, they got 11 starters coming back on offense. Bama has 3 starters coming back on offense. So if you want to make a statement, this is your chance right now. So
and we're not saying to win the game. We're not saying to win the game, because we don't expect Miami to beat Alabama, but to compete.
I think they're like 17, 8, somewhere between 17 and 20 point dogs coming into this game, which is they're ranked 14th in the nation, and they're 17 and 20 point dogs. That says what Alabama's all about.
Dude, that's the Alabama effect.
If you're Miami, try to cover that. Keep it within 2 scores. And if you do that, then I might think a little higher of you.
If you lose by 10, I promise you, people will say, "Man, Miami's looking good."
Move up in the rankings next week.
But that's for real though, because if they lose by 10 to Alabama, people aren't going to say, "Man, Miami lost." They're going to be like, "Man, Miami looked really good out there. Yeah. They look good." That's what they're going to say. So that, I know there are no moral victories on the record, but that is a moral victory. So just lose by 10 or less, and trust me, Miami, people will look at you like you're something, man. As far as a dark horse goes, I was flip-flopping here, because I was looking at Pitt. I was looking at Virginia. I was looking at Virginia Tech. Virginia Tech has a brutal schedule, but I think week 1, they're playing North Carolina. Dude, I love these conference games week 1. I love that. It's huge games. I love that right off the bat.
Even tonight, we got Minnesota and Ohio State.
Minnesota and Ohio State play tonight, and then UCF and Boise State tonight also. Ooh, that is a game. Two of the most known non-Power 5 teams playing tonight. Over the last, 10 years probably? Yeah. So, those are 2 games right there that are must watch. Dark horse, though, going back to the ACC, man, I don't even know. I like Virginia Tech, but their schedule's brutal. They got the Oregon quarterback transfer and Braxton Burmeister. He seems to be the guy, but he's not as mobile as the previous quarterback who transferred to Tennessee, but he's got a better arm. I like Virginia Tech. It's just that their schedule is brutal. Virginia is good too, but they got games at North Carolina and at Miami, but they're home against Virginia Tech, so they could flip-flop there. They're returning all 5 starters from the O-line. So I don't know, man. It really is just a 3-way tie between Pitt, Virginia Tech, and Virginia I'm looking at. So flip a coin.
I don't think – look, like I would think like Virginia Tech's ceiling might be the highest of that bunch.
Sure, I see that,
I also think their floor could be like
a lot lower. Sure.
So because like Pitt is just like they're Pitt. Their defense is going to be solid. Their offense ain't going to be great, but they're going to be solid in defense. They're going to stay in a lot of games. So I think the safe bet there is probably Pitt. But again, I think Virginia Tech's ceiling might be higher.
If my team has a ceiling much higher than the others, but has a floor much lower than the others, then I'm going to roll with that team.
Yeah, okay.
I'll roll the dice with Virginia Tech being a dark horse. Also, it's been a little while since they've been relevant, so it would be nice to see them good again.
And what's his name? What their coach, Justin Fuente, right? Yeah, they've got to win soon, or he's in some trouble as well.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. So, okay, so we both have North Carolina, Clemson, ACC championship game. I mean, I guess the question is, how much does Clemson win by, right?
Yeah, I mean, but to be fair, there are some unknowns about Clemson. I mean, we know DJ Ugalele is a solid talent. We don't know what he is as a leader just yet because this is his first time having to lead at the collegiate level. They don't have a ton coming back on that side of the ball like North Carolina does. But yeah, man, they get that Bama treatment. They're like they don't rebuild, they reload.
It's them, Bama, and Ohio State.
If you're gonna beat them, prove me wrong. I'm not gonna pick against them, especially in the ACC. So yeah, I'm rolling with Clemson. It'd be nice to see North Carolina knock Clemson off. That'd be very exciting. It'd be good for probably the conference too to have some new blood in there. But I just look again, prove me, and then we could have a talk.
I'm not sure when this episode is going to air. Hopefully, a lot sooner than later. Definitely before the weekend. But I just double checked, and that North Carolina Virginia Tech game is Friday night, and it's in Blacksburg, and that game opener, home opener, first game of the season at Virginia Tech against North Carolina. Dude, that place is gonna be rocking.
Yeah, you got your first place predicted team in the Coastal against your sleeper team. So yeah, it should be a night. It should be fun,
dude. And I also just the experience alone because that's when the team that it comes out to Enter Sandman by Metallica. I don't know if you haven't seen the intro for Virginia Tech. Look it up on YouTube, dude. That place gets lit. So I'm super excited to watch that one. But yeah, I mean, look, speaking on that, obviously week one is official this weekend. Games are starting tonight. What games kind of stuck out there to you, man? What do you want to see? Who are you excited to see this weekend?
Look, man, September is my favorite month of football. Period. It's my favorite month of the year. Some of y'all like to see the Georgias against the Clemsons of the world, which man, that's, to be fair, that's a great game, great early season game. I think it's nice to have some of those games as well. But you also get some of those Cinderellas, the David versus Goliath type games. And there's some good ones this week. It's not all just the top blue bloods against the bottom of the barrel 985 team. We got some games like UT, a blue blood, playing a ranked Louisiana team in Austin. That should be a good game. Louisiana knocked off Iowa State last year. I'm excited to see if they can handle Texas. They have definitely more experience and more unity as far
I'll be there. I'll be at the game.
Nice. And and Texas definitely has the more talent, raw talent, 5-star type prospect. So I'm excited to watch that game and see what wins out there. Texas, of course, breaking in a new coach, a new starting quarterback, a surprise pick is their starting quarterback, Hudson Card.
We just talked about that in the last episode too.
Yeah. So that's exciting to see. I got another one out in California, San Jose State versus USC. You got the big boys of the state against the little San Jose, the little engine that could. They ended up last year ranked in the top 25. They looked good in week 0. Of course, they played an FCS team, but they did look.
You still got to look good against those teams.
They had all 11 starters back on defense. So they have every starter back except 2 receivers. So that should be an exciting week 1 game. It also helps them that they got, get those opening game jitters out of the way. They got those out the way last week. So they should be coming into the game at least a little bit more better than USC, at least from the get-go. So that's a big one. There's another one out on the West Coast between Fresno State and Oregon. Oregon's getting a lot of hype in the Pac-12. I don't know if that's just hype or if they're really good. I'm not sure yet. I feel sometimes they like to hype those blue blood type teams and they want the Pac-12 to do good. So I want to see what Oregon's got. Fresno State also looked good in week 0. Of course, they played UConn, but they were my sleeper in our Mountain West preview. So, and they have their quarterback he threw for the most yards per game in the Mountain West last year. They have a lot coming back, I believe, as well. So I'm excited to see that game. And then, of course, I gotta give a shout out to my Texas State Bobcats. We take on the Baylor Bears in San Marcos at Bobcat Stadium. So you got the Big 12 team traveling to the Sun Belt.
What do they do?
Eat them up.
But doesn't Baylor do that though too?
Now theirs is a little bit different, I think. So we got the Star of Texas, and then we got like the Bobcat Claw or whatever. They got a bear claw. Yeah, they got
ridiculous.
No, but yeah. I'm excited about that game as well. I got tickets, of course, to that one. You'll be about 30 minutes up the road, right?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah.
Look, that's my list. Go ahead and there's your segue. So I'll be in San Marcos, and you're going to a game as well, right?
I'll be in Austin, man, for the UT game against Louisiana for all the reasons that you just said. It's the Blue Bloods, but UT's kind of, we got a new coach, got a new quarterback. Our quarterback was drafted in the NFL. And it's a surprise running quarterback in Hudson Card, redshirt freshman. So we're going to see how that goes. Obviously, we have the stud running back in Bijan Robinson. But, honestly, from the non-biased part of me, I'm excited to see Louisiana. They had a great season last year. And, I'm excited to see how they do this year. Obviously, we did our Sun Belt preview. So, UT is my team. That's the team I roll with. But if Louisiana wins this game, dude, be on the lookout for Louisiana to go undefeated this year and potentially make a New Year's Six bowl.
Game, definitely be on the lookout for them in a New Year's Six bowl.
Yes.
Especially if Cincinnati drops one to Notre Dame or Indiana.
Yeah. And so that's obviously I'm excited to see that game. I'll be there for obvious reasons. I'm excited to see Georgia versus Clemson, a 2 top 5 matchup. Obviously, I mean, there's just no surprise there. Everyone's excited to see that. Other matchup I'm excited to see, dude. I love the conference games week 1. I just love it. So I love seeing Penn State at Wisconsin. I love seeing North Carolina at Virginia Tech and Indiana at Iowa. Just conference games. I love seeing that. And with the Big Ten specifically, you're not used to seeing that week 1. So I love seeing that right out the gates. Obviously, you saw it with Nebraska and Illinois as well. Super excited. And another game that I'm really pumped about, Josh, we just talked about this a while ago. I'm super excited to see Boise State and UCF. I know that game's going to be tonight. So by
any moment now.
By the time this airs, that game will already the results will already be in. But
who you got winning that one?
Probably UCF, just because it's at UCF, right?
It's at UCF.
Yeah.
I'm thinking the same thing. Plus, I'm kind of on the Gus Malzahn train. I think he wants to really send a message to Auburn as far as letting him go was the wrong thing to do. I think he's excited to be at UCF too, because like you said, UCF's getting looked at by the Big 12 right now. That they're one of the largest universities in the nation. They got a lot going for them at that school. And I think they could do some big things here in a couple of years. So I think Gus Malzahn's really happy about. Look, Auburn had to pay him a crap ton, so he still got all that money, and he's in a pretty good situation.
He's got good motivation though. So
yeah.
He's got good
I
motivation.
think I'm rolling with UCF as well. Actually, I am rolling with them because I just did a little 2-team parlay with them and the Ohio State Minnesota game. So
you're financially rolling with them.
I took UCF -5.5, I think, and I took Minnesota plus 13.5. So I'm hoping Minnesota covers that. So.
All right. So, yeah, keep a lookout, guys. Josh is going to be holding a money line episode once a week. So if y'all trying to win money out there, keep an eye out. But, yeah, I'm super pumped. Week 1, baby. Let's go. ACC's coming up. Obviously going to be fun to see Clemson and Georgia. Keep an eye out this weekend. We're all excited. But, hey, as always, follow us on Instagram at Those Two Dudes Podcast, at those two dudes on TikTok, Spotify, Facebook, Twitter. Check us out everywhere, guys. Let us know what y'all think. Let us know what matchups y'all are excited to see. But until then, it's that dude Josh.
That's that dude Ruben.
Like and subscribe, guys. Push the button. Let's go.
Go.